If you get right down to the basis of what we're doing, and we're talking about what's called sine, cosine, and tangents today, okay? If you get right down to what this boils down to, really it boils down to the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? It really boils down to the Pythagorean theorem. And sine, cosine, tangents can only happen with right triangles. We talked about this before. Okay? Because you know, okay, that all triangles that have the same degree angles are all similar. In other words, if I have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, okay, the sides of any triangle that's 30, 60, 90, okay, they're all proportional. They all, if this side is 1 and this side is 2, that means every side is going to double. It's going to be the same. If this was, well, I should have made that one. If this was, I should have done this one. Wait, sorry. Let me change that. Can I change that? If this is 1 and this is 2, if this side over here was, well, actually we know what it is. It's 2. This side would be doubled as well. It's 4. And if this side here is 3, this side would be doubled at 6. Because we know that, okay, you will always get the same ratio when you put one side over the other side. In other words, if I take 2 and put it over 1, if I take this side, which we call, well, if I take this side and put it over this side, it's going to form the same ratio as this side over that side. And that's where the trig functions come from. Okay, and you don't really need to know that to do what we're going to do here. Just know this. And yesterday when I talked to my daughter about this, and she said, "You're doing trig with them?" And I said, "Yeah, this is the smartest class I've ever had, so do that here." She said, "Well, do you know SOHCAHTOA?" SOHCAHTOA, write this down. SOHCAHTOA. Because if you can remember SOHCAHTOA, you can remember sine, cosine, tangent, and what they are. And we talked about this before. So is the sine ratio. Sine equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse. So, S-O-H. Cosine equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. And tangent equals the opposite side over, wait, T-O-A, sorry. That's why that would be opposite over adjacent. SOHCAHTOA, that's how you're supposed to say it. That's what she said. SOHCAHTOA. Yes, it's like the Native American language is what we have here. Okay. So those are, if you can remember this little saying here, it'll be very easy for you. Otherwise, you'll have to keep going back to your reference sheets, which you don't necessarily want to. Okay? Yes.
So sine is so, and then
Sine,
cosine is
opposite over hypotenuse. So, cosine, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse,
is, yeah, okay.
and tangent is OA, opposite over adjacent. Now let me try to explain to you where this comes from, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of all this. It's like having nuts without the bolts. What are these nuts for? Okay, here's a good way to think about it. We've talked about that 30-60 triangle. Let's say you have, let me say you have an equilateral triangle. Triangles. What choices do I have for triangles? I think it's just a triangle. If you have an equilateral triangle, right? And let's make each side 2. It's equilateral, so you know every side's equal, right? And let's say I have, what are each of these degrees going to be? In an equilateral triangle, they all have to be what degree?
60.
60 degrees, because they're all equal and they have to equal 180 degrees. So, here's my equilateral triangle. I know what the sides are. Okay, I am now going to split this equilateral triangle right down the middle and make an altitude or make a height here, right here. It's going to go right down the middle as best I can. Okay, I am now going to forget about, I'm going to erase this side over here, which I guess you probably can't do. Maybe I can't do it. Oh, mercy. Why did it do that? Oh, I can't erase just part of my thing. When in doubt, just go do something else. I'm going to erase this part of my triangle. Now, what do I have left? I still have this 60-degree angle. I made this straight down. This is 90 degrees. So this angle over here now is what? Jack, you with me writing this down, or is it just me?
It's me too.
Now, what other side do I know? I know this side, right? Because I just split this 2 in half, so this side has to be 1. Okay? And with the Pythagorean theorem, I can figure out this side over here because it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But remember, c squared is the hypotenuse, so the c squared is the 2. And this 1 is one of the a squareds. So my third side is going to be 1 plus b squared equals 4. Subtract 1, b squared equals 3, so b equals the square root of 3. Okay. So now let's go back to our SOHCAHTOA. Okay? And let's say we're going to do the sine, we'll abbreviate it like that, of a 30-degree angle. That means here's the 30-degree angle, so we're looking at the sine of this. And I know that sine is SOHCA, O is opposite side over the hypotenuse. Okay? I know in this 30-degree angle what my opposite side is and what my hypotenuse is. The opposite side goes directly across from it. Opposite is 1. What is my hypotenuse? 2. So no matter what ever happens, the sine of 30 degrees is always going to be 0.5 or 1/2. No matter what. Sine of 30 degrees. And when you get to this level of math, they'll make you memorize the sine of certain angles. It would be the sine of 30, the sine of 60, and all those. The 30s, 60s, and 45s they'll make you memorize, but I won't make you memorize those. What would be the cosine of 30 degrees? Well, that's going to change because cosine now is what? Koa, SOHCAHTOA, ka, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. So you change your fraction. Instead of being the opposite, it's the adjacent side over hypotenuse, and that is the square root of 3 over 2. Which isn't a lovely number, but I can tell you, I'll give you a sheet that tells you what it is. Well, I could do it. Where's my calculator? Calculator, anybody?
I know.
Yeah, clipped is all over that. The square root of 3, where's my square root thing? Square root of 3 divided by 2. Am I divided by? No, it's not going to be. It's just going to be a big decimal. 0.8660. Okay, and then my tangent, TOA, is the opposite over adjacent. You get that. Opposite is 1. The adjacent is the square root of 3. Now, eventually we'll get to this place in math. You're never allowed to have irrational numbers in the denominator. So what you have to do is this. You have to multiply both top and bottom by the square root of 3. Because this is the same as multiplying by 1, same number. 2 square roots of 3 give you a normal 3. And 1 times the square root of 3 is 3. So, back to the calculator, if I figure out exactly what that is as a decimal, 3 square root divided by, lazy people, 0.5774. Okay. You don't, by the way, need any of what we just did, just so that you understand that it's all relationship oriented. I'll show you the trigonometric tables. This is your calculator. Back in the day, I remember looking back in the back of my math book that had the trigonometric table on it. Because that was the important table.
This makes it
McShanks.
Is there a cool little saying for like volcanoes and stuff?
Yeah, I don't think there is. They don't use, they just don't go, they don't do cotangents and stuff as much as they do the other ones, so.
So what are you gonna use this for in life?
Oh, I'm gonna show you right now. Practical life applications here. Let me find my sheet here. So, if you have a triangle, and let's say you know that this angle, one of them has to be 90 degrees. If you know that this is 40 degrees, this side over here would have to be 50 degrees. And if you know any of the sides, you know, let's say you know that this is 3, you can figure out any of the other 2 sides. Now you can't use the Pythagorean theorem because you only know one of the sides, okay? But you can use your trigonometric functions to figure out those things. For example, let's say I want to figure out, I don't know, this side here, okay? Well, first of all, I have to think about what in relationship, let's use this 40-degree angle. If I'm using that angle, which trigonometric function has opposite over adjacent? Because that's what these 2 sides are. Which one? Tangent. So, you know it's opposite over adjacent, so that has to be the tangent. You know that the tangent is 40 degrees. So you know that the tangent of 40 degrees has to equal some number, whatever this number is, over 3. Okay, do you see that? Because the tangent is always the ratio of the side that's opposite of that angle over its adjacent side. Okay, and I don't know the opposite side, but I do know the adjacent side, and I do know that this angle is 40 degrees, so I know this. Well, you just look at your handy dandy little table, find 40 degrees on that, scooch over to the 3rd column, which is the tangent column. What is the decimal for tangent of 40 degrees? Point what? 8 what?
389.
Okay, and I'm just going to simplify this. Let's just call it 0.84. Okay, which is the same as what fraction? 84 over 100, because we don't have a, if you had a calculator this would be much quicker, but we're going to do it kind of simplified there. Okay, so you know that 0.84 has to equal x over 3. Well, that's actually pretty easy, because if you made this a ratio, how would you find out what x is? Cross multiply. You know that 1 times x equals 3 times 0.84. So if you multiply 0.84 times 3, you're going to get how long this side is. 3 times 4 is 12, 24, 25. Basically, this side is going to be 2.52. And you can figure out that side based on that trigonometric function. It's not hard. It's just a little confusing as to what things you use when and where. It is a lot of stuff in numbers. And because it's a lot of stuff in numbers, I'm going to give you this. Yay. I might have to run to the. I'm supposed to have 20-some copies of this, but I don't see. Where'd they go?
Maybe say, maybe I'll do second, third,
Well, I'm gonna go print some more, I'll put this on the board in front of this thing. Hold on one second though.
Wow.
Like the one that she has. Oh, like after
Second. Take a look, see, while they print up here. While they print stuff here. Look at problem number one, I'm gonna give you a little worksheet on this. Huh? No, not yet. You have to make me. Take a look at this. Give me a little spank there, there we go. Oh, always good to see. Okay, the directions tell you to do this. Chill, go ahead. If you're supposed to find the value of the tangent of A. Okay, so you're supposed to find the value of tangent of A. So step number one is go find angle A. This is the angle you're talking about. Okay, you write down then the relationship. What is the tangent? Tangent is TOA. So it's, write this down, it's opposite over adjacent. Okay. You know what is the opposite side? 30. What is the adjacent side?
34.
16.
That's hypotenuse. That's one thing you always gotta make sure you don't put the hypotenuse as one of the things. 30 over 16. Okay, you then, if you feel like it, you need to get this into decimal form. Because once you know the decimal, you just look on your table in the tangent section, find that same decimal, and that'll tell you what angle that is. So you could reduce it first. What if we do 15 over what? 8. If you take 8 into 15, and you don't have to get real accurate with this, just give me a couple decimal places. 8 goes into 15 once. 8 goes into 70, how many times? 8 is 64. Let's just get the next one. 8 goes into 67 times. Look on your little chart there of trigonometric functions. Find where tangent is 1.87 or the closest one to that, and that is how many degrees angle A is. I don't know, I have a sheet.
1.73.
Tangent of what? 1.87. Yeah, I would go with 62 degrees. This angle here is 62 degrees. So that's all you have to do is write that down. You're up to memo now.
If you went one more over, it would be 0.887.
Oh, because it goes
It goes 875.
Well,
56 and then
7.5. So point, yeah, if you want to go and round up to the next one, but it's closest to that. Emma Haynes?
How do you tell which side of the 90 degrees is adjacent?
They'll never give you, we don't ever do tangent of 90 degrees. The tangents, all the angles you're going to be are the other ones besides the 90 degree side.
What if you found?
I know, is there a tangent on 90 degrees on your sheet? No, it only goes up
If you
to
found the angle A and you had B, you could already find that C, right? Or would it?
Right, C is going to be 28 degrees. Because these two angles have to add up to 90 degrees, because it'd be the same as that. Nick Shanks?
If you like find out next to the number, can you just find out which one is closest to, or can there be like a fraction?
No, just go whichever one's closest to for right now. If you had a calculator, it would go much closer. Might even give you the exact, but you're not using one. You don't need one. This is not that. Yes, Jackson.
Wouldn't 50/40 instead of 60?
I don't know where you're at.
70 and 64.
No, 79/64 is 60. Isn't 10 minus 4 6?
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know what your question is. You're saying I did something wrong at this point.
No.
8 times 8 is 64. If you take 70 minus 64, you get 6. I just brought down the next 0. 8 goes into 67 times, and then somebody said whatever. Alright, you do number 2, which is actually on your worksheet, while I go get your worksheets, and we'll see if everybody gets it. You want to find what cosine, actually, they just want you to do the decimal, I want you to do the degrees of angle C, because it's all the same thing. But find cosine, find the angle, degrees of angle C. No, this thing. Go, Jack. Sometimes they go. So, 4. Roll from the column. Huh? Roll from the column. Okay, so on your paper, this is what we would see. First thing you write down is you're looking for the cosine of C, cosine of angle C, and you know that cosine. So, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. And you know the adjacent side of angle C, not this side because that's the hypotenuse, adjacent has to be 12 over the hypotenuse, which is 15. Okay, so cosine of angle C has to be whatever 12 over 15 reduces to. 3 is 4/5. 4/5 hopefully you know is 0.8. So you know the cosine of angle C equals 0.8, so you just look on your chart to the closest thing that you can find for the cosine is 0.8. And cosine of angle C, or angle C equals 36 degrees. And that would be pretty much what you should show as work for those things. You should be able to nail that down there. And again, you're just getting close because we're not going to mess around with 6 or 7 decimal places or decimal points or whatever it is. And there you go, kids. You are now sine, cosine, tangent. I don't know what cotangent, cosecant is. I think
Cosine is hypotenuse.
well, most of them are just the opposites of the ones. But I don't know which is opposite of which. Like secant is opposite of sine.
No, it's
Secant is opposite of.
Secant's opposite of what?
or secant's opposite of sine.
Yeah.
And cosecant is opposite of cosine.
Or, wait,
No, cosecant is opposite of
cosecant
sine.
is opposite of sine, secant
Is opposite of
Cosine. And cotangent is opposite of tangent. Today is 21st. You know how I know it's the 21st? This is Mario's birthday. No,
It's my
it's
sister.
Thursday the 21st. I looked at the calendar.
Wait, it's your birthday?
Tomorrow.
Oh, it's my sister.
Did you miss my whole thing? The day before my birthday, people are supposed to bring me like 2 gifts each, and then the day
Don't worry,
of my
it's
birthday,
like
like
fries.
Mine's Friday.
Just turn back.
Did I? Is that why I did that? Probably gonna have to come back. You don't have to do 1 or 2. And you don't have to do mine if you pick, you don't like, I think there's enough room there for you to show it. There's enough room for you to show that there. If you have questions, come and ask, because this really is not, it's not difficult. Think about it. It's just follows a simple step.
It's just.
So, yeah, be careful how you say it. I wish I did.
Seniors. I think it's like, I think it's a chart thing. It's confusing. Just like the level. Yeah. Like, you know, it's
It's not that difficult.
So I made it on
I do.
Mr. Palmer, I did. It says on the S, but it didn't show, any 1 point anything on this one.
That's really close to it, okay?
Yeah, you just get what that count is to,
Okay.
whatever he's closest to. So, yeah.
But I'm not, you can work whatever you want. Number 0 to 8. So, 0,
You knew that's why you asked? Thirty-six over 45, 4/5, 0.8, yeah? Wait, let me see.
Yeah, because it's hard.
I got three of the same.
Now, when they sing that song, don't know much about Trig and Christmas tree.
The great thing, they talk and keep going.
We have to turn it into, we have to turn it into even if it's, even if, you know,
Go grab your reading, please. Bring your reading book, your brother, my brother, says book. Oh, no, it's Sam today.
Three times I got 37. So do we call him alien? I'm an alien.
Hi. Excited? Watch my daughter for the next few months.
Six.
I have 12 more problems.
That kind of bottle. I have 3.
Oh, are you asking if you have to write all 4 places after the decimal? Are you kidding me? Are you really telling me that you can't write 4 decimal places? Can I time you on the difference between writing just 2 decimal places?
I know where they are.
Now I know I can.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
My brain never
Yeah, I only scored twice.
We scored
Take out a blank piece of paper, please.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to grab your key.
You can get it later.
Right. We're gonna talk Sam first. Alright, children,
Only because this book report, I want to do the best book report in the world. I'm going to do the guidance struggle in the area of writing coherent, clear, nice, fun, easy to read book reports. MBSD. Don't want to forget the name. We're going to talk MLA formats. How many times have I said that? You know what? We're not going to talk about it. We're going to do it right now.
Makes us sure I remember reading that.
No. Why do you? This is for your book. Actually, try if you know what MLA stands for.
Major League,
Mature, legal,
Major League Association.
Middle.
Ah. Let's just get this.
Missouri Laughing Association. Not
And again, these are not, this is not my prerequisite, this is what your teachers, when you go next year and have to write papers. There's two different formats, one of them is the MLA, the other one I can't remember, so it doesn't matter. But 90% of people, I believe, go with this, so it's good to know that. First of all, you need to, so write this down. Wait, where'd it go? Disappeared, oh. So what am I supposed to do now? I can't even get out of this.
You can.
I know that's
So
so
where's the toolbar?
It's gone.
Took a picture.
I made measurements.
Oh, it's there. But if I go back to this,
It won't let you do.
You should insert a picture into the. Sean should insert the picture into the.
but I gotta get back somewhere. Alright, write this down. First of all, write down double space and 1-inch margins all the way around. Double space, 1-inch margins, that's what you have to be. Size, and I'm gonna put the restriction that you need to use size 12 font. 1-inch margins all the way around. Double space. I want size 12 font. And again, nothing goofy. I would say either Times New Roman or Arial, or there's one that starts with a C.
yeah, Calibri.
Yeah, Kalahari or whatever. C-A-L.
Libre.
That's actually the new Times New Roman. They kind of got away from Times New Roman there. Okay, but then when you start your paper there, you need to have your name. And this is on the left-hand side, left-hand margin. Your name, your instructor's name. I like Professor Hahn. He really don't work whatever class it is, you'd be what, 8th grade? I guess 8th grade reading. That's what we're doing it for. And the date. So that needs to be in the upper left-hand corner of your paper. Center the title of the essay. I guess your title is the name of the book, I guess, as much as I don't like it. I do, not that I don't like your book, but. Begin your paragraph 1, double space line below your center title. The paragraph should begin with a 1/2 tabbed indent. The paper's heading goes on the upper left corner of the first page. Use only 1-inch margins all around, double space everything, including blocked quotes. Do not justify the right margin. Do you know what that means? Okay, your paper is either left justified, right justified, or center. Left justified means that everything lines up when you push enter, everything lines up there except for your split. If it's right in justified as well, that means everything lines up on the right side. You can, what? Oh, the toolbar's back. It just took a while, I guess. Okay, you can either left justify, right justify, or you can actually justify both sides. And when you justify both sides, it puts great big spaces between words so that both sides. Just do left justify, please. Just left Oh, I have to use this. Is it gonna stay?
And make the characters.
I don't think it is. It doesn't matter, we're done with that. So that's MLA format. Everything is double spaced. And again, that is what they're gonna ask of you next year, so when your teacher gets up there and says that, you can't say, well, from class, we never did that. Alright. In your book report, there is your intro. Can somebody again, because I have people do this all the time, what has to be in your introduction, and I will grade you more harshly. If you thought the last time I was hard on you, this time will be ever so much severe. Nick Shanks, we need, okay. Setting, you need the
Title, author, short form.
author, you need the title, and a short summary. If you want to get the very good grade, you will start with what we call a little hook. And again, I prefer so much that it's not always a question. Do you like war stories? A good one for this one would look, war is not as glamorous as it seems. There's a little hook for me. War, what is it good for?
Don't you put in your poem. War is prayer.
Absolutely nothing. Questions on that? That's your introduction. You need that stuff in there. That would come in the summary. I mean, then this one would be, the book is about Tim, whose older brother decided to go off to war, and the family struggles that ensued. That's an overall, whatever summary about what your report's going to be.
You're allowed to use this map.
You are not allowed to use that unless you want some sort of detention / expulsion / whatever. Alright. And again, please understand, people, this book is not about Sam. Just because Sam's name's the one in the title, your report shouldn't be about Sam. Your report is about Tim. Because really, the whole plot structure is about Tim. And what does the war do to Tim? How does Tim grow? What is the plot summary for Tim? And then after the introduction, you have three. All right, let's go ahead. You have 3 body paragraphs. Where you tell about the conflicts and such. Okay? Do not, children, do not say the conflict is man versus man, or man versus self, or whatever. If I see those words in that report, you automatically go down a grade. You don't tell me what type of conflict it is. You just write me the conflict, and I'll be able to figure out if it's Tim versus himself or Tim versus somebody else. Okay? Do not tell me the main characters are. Okay? I will gather the characters because that's the person you're talking to in the story. You understand? I don't want those to see those words. The main character is Tim. The minor characters are blah, 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 blah. Don't do it. Don't do it, please. Don't make me be the bad guy here. Okay? Your 3 paragraphs are going to tell the story, this book and some of you, and I've had this before, okay, I don't want a book report that's a book long. I don't want 5 pages here. Okay? Your goal really, I guess if it's double spaced, your goal is to do it in 2 pages or less. Please don't give me the 3rd page with 2 lines on it. Just figure out how to get it to fit on 2. All right? And I don't care if you shorten the margins by 9/10 or whatever, something, in order to do it. Okay? If you want a good, am I still recording? Oh, I am.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep going because I'll write that in there because I'll have it on whatever. If you want a good report, in the body of that report, you are going to give some specifics. Okay? And I can tell you that's hard for you people because even after I told you on your little reports to give me specifics, you were still general, but I think you thought you were specific. Let me give you, for example, for instance here. Wait. Here, I said give character traits. I won't tell whose this one is. Sam is disobedient, but he's very self-reliable. He disobeys his dad a lot. He's quite wise. but also a little foolish. Stubborn might also go under his belt as being one. But not we do get one. By not taking off his uniform, stealing the gun, always arguing about the war. Okay, when you say Sam is disobedient, that is not a specific thing. You have to say something in the book where he was disobedient about. Okay, Sam is disobedient when he refuses to take off his uniform before father, when he refuses to do this. Or if you say that he's quite wise, don't just tell me that, you have to say what it is that made him wise. What did he say? What did he do that made him wise? Or it says, just find another one here. Maybe I'll find a good one here. Here, Sam disobeys his father by going out to fight and by stealing the brown vest. Those are specific examples of showing his disobedience. Okay, you don't just say he's disobedient because that doesn't. You have to give some examples. Father is a very loyal subject to the king. He is with the king on everything. You can also say that he is scared for his son Sam. He really wants Sam not to fight in the war. Like that. Let me find one more. I think Sam is daring. He has the courage to stand up to father and many brave things that Tim wouldn't dare to do. Do you tell me any of the brave things that Tim wouldn't dare to do?
No.
Sam is also very mature for his age and he's independent. Do you tell me what makes him mature and independent? No. Although you did say he did run away from home. Father is stubborn. He is annoyed at the works here. He is annoyed at the works of the colonists like the Boston Tea Party. Is that all there is? Anyway. So 3, if I was writing the story about my brother Sam is dead, I would pick some of the major things that happened in the story. I mean, what would you say are some of the major, obviously you would say about Sam is a part of it. I would certainly talk about Sam running away. That's a big part of the story, so you'd include that. Lauren?
Like trip to Blue Flags.
Okay, that was a huge turning point when father got captured. That would be a pretty big point to cover there. All right, and then probably, Nick? Well, and I believe that is actually the climax there, was where Tim changes from boy to man. You'll get there, Jack, don't worry. Nathaniel?
When the British soldiers come into regular, like, school of fight stuff on the down road and like in my town.
Alright, and maybe the whole Jerry, whoever's head, Ned's head popping off his head, maybe that's stuck there.
Oh my goodness.
But picture the big things, tell some specifics, and it's never a bad thing to have some quotation marks in something, some direct dialogue. Okay, and then one place we certainly can improve in is in our conclusion. Okay, a conclusion that's 2 sentences long is not adequate enough. Okay, because in the conclusion, you should, tell if you like the book. You should maybe tell some lessons that you learned from the book. Tell what you think the author was trying to get at with the book. Really, for you just to say I like this book and would recommend it to everybody. Yeah, that's about as weak as it gets right there. What I learned is, this book's a lot of things you think about. Things you don't think about with lore. The ironic thing. By the way, I said what was ironic in the whole book? Who actually killed father? Who actually killed Sam?
The people they were both with.
The side that they were actually on. Father was a Tory. He was a loyalist. Got killed, they figure, on a British prison ship. Sam ran away to war, gave up everything, fought for the Patriots. What side killed him? The Patriots side. How is that not an ironic situation there? But that's what happens in war. A lot of people, you go to a lot of wars, they call it friendly fire or whatever. People die being shot on by their own side just because that happens in war. Why did Sam actually have to die? Do you think the General Putnam and General Lower thought he was innocent? I'll bet they knew he was innocent. But the problem was, if you watch A Few Good Men too, it's kind of the same deal. What is the problem though, Lauren?
Is that they needed to make an example out of something?
If they let Sam go,
Or think they had sauce.
right, if they let Sam go, then everybody would be more likely to do things wrong because they think, well, all I have to do is, you know, try to get the general not to punish me as much because of this or because of that. So the general, you know, it's like you guys dealing with different teachers. You know that you can get away with different things with different teachers, and you push that limit with each one to the point you know you can. Well, in the Army, it's the same thing. You know, in the Army, they have to have set boundaries, and they usually put it pretty tight because you shouldn't be allowed to disobey orders because you think it's right. In the Army, people trust you, they depend on you. A few good men just keeps going. So there's your conclusion. You know, like I said, just make sure if you include all this stuff, and again, the other thing I would say is certainly have somebody of higher education than yourself proofread it. Okay, have them read it and see if it entertains them or if they like to read it. No, it would be nice if after I read the report I'd say, you know what, this sounds like Nick. I mean, this is Nick's report because Nick, this is how Nick, I mean, I know how most of you think, or whatever you are. You can put a little bit of your own personality in the paper. That's great because that's just what makes it yours. It shouldn't be cold and aloof and whatever, you know, stuff.